Welcome to the Ultra World Podcast, the soccer fan's voice from the stands, with your hosts, Marc and Sean Castles, coming to you from Radio Waves Studios in New York City. Now, let's kick off the show.
Well, hi again, everybody. I am Marc, but unfortunately not alongside my partner, Sean Castles, today. I think the euphemism we often hear in the broadcast business when there's a schedule conflict is, he's on assignment. So that's where I am, on assignment.
Thanks, Marc. This episode, while I'm all alone, I'm going big. I'm talking Manchester United, one of the most, if not the most, celebrated teams in the history of football. They have the most championships of any team in the history of the Premier League. 68 major trophies that include 20 league titles, 13 FA Cups, 6 League Cups, 3 Champions League titles, 1 Europe League title. They've won the Super Cup, they've won the Club World Cup, they've won the European Cup. It also happens to be the most valuable soccer club on the planet with a valuation of over $5 billion. But I'm going to get a little bit into the history here. Manchester United was founded by railroad workers in 1878, and it was initially called the Newton, Heath, Lancashire, and Yorkshire Railway. They had a really rough start when they finally joined the First Division in 1892, and they almost immediately dropped to the Second Division within a couple years. It was so disastrous that the club almost folded from a lack of financing. Now, I got a little fun story here. For those of you that loves dogs, this is a great story. To gain some sense of financial solvency, Newton Heath decided to do what many do when they are in dire straits. They started a GoFundMe. I'm just kidding. They did the early 20th century version and they threw a fundraiser. They needed to raise £1,000, which would likely be over $100,000 US today. It's a really tall task from a semi-pro pickup league. So it was a tall task, and it, of course, didn't go very well. It went so bad, actually, that the club mascot, a giant St. Bernard named Major, ran off into the night. Major was owned by the captain and fullback of the squad, Harry Stafford, and was a really popular fixture at the games. I mean, who doesn't love the bat dogs in the minor leagues? Or the numerous videos of dogs invading the pitch and stealing the ball when we're watching viral videos? Dogs just make the world better. Anyways, Major escaped and enacted his own version of Homeward Bound, wandering the streets of Manchester when he turned up at a restaurant. And what a big shock. Of course, he goes to a restaurant. Major walks into the restaurant and gets the attention of the owner, a wealthy local businessman by the name of John Henry Davies. On first sight, Davies' daughter fell immediately in love with the puppy and would not be parted. So Davies went to Harry Stafford and offered him a sizable amount of money for the pooch. But Stafford, like all good dog owners, was not swayed and would not part with the dog. But eventually, the escalating offers were accepted, and an important part of the deal was saving Newton Heath from bankruptcy. And from that rescue, in late April, early May 1902, Manchester United was born. Marc and I have often talked about the Big Six in the Premier League. Until the past decade, Manchester United was clearly atop the Premier League and maybe in atop all of football. What do you think, Marc? Oh, wait, you're not here. I'm alone.
Very sorry I can't be more than just a setup guy for this episode, as we had ourselves what you might call a red devil of a day with some Manchester United ultras. And even though it wasn't the best result, Sean, there were a couple of Man U fans who were more than happy to talk your ear off.
Yeah, we had the pleasure of meeting some new friends at Smithfield Hall, which is located on West 25th Street, and it just happens to be right around the corner from Radio Waves Studios. And thanks to the magic of post-production, Marc is still with me here in spirit on this episode. So let's meet the people we had a wonderful conversation with. I have Jack Brown outside of Smithfield. What team are you a fan of and why?
I'm a Manchester United fan, and I became a Manchester United fan because my dad, who's from the UK, is a United fan, and he became a fan through his grandfather, who started watching in the early 50s, and so 3 generations.
Are you part of the supporters group here in New York?
Oh yeah, proud New York Red. Been coming here consistently, for about 5.5, 6 years. Rain, shine, snow, win or loss.
We're here at Smithfield, New York. What's it like coming to the games with the other fans there?
It's all community. You know, some of my best friends that I've made since I moved into the city and I started coming here are some of now my best friends, you know, so it's always lovely to be able to come here knowing that you're going to run into some friends. You know, we have a active group chat for those, in the supporters group. So
Nice.
yeah, it's just all community. Yeah.
And what does match day look like for you? Because most fans who are really Uber fans like you are like, the whole week is based around the game. So what does match day look like for you?
Match day is just excitement, anxiousness, anticipation. But yeah, but it's just great being able to cheer on the Reds. Also have a community to be able to just kind of converse and share the same passion. Growing up, with an English dad, football was always that sport that I was the most into, but living in America, basketball, hockey, football, baseball trumps all, right? So when I moved to the city and I found out that there was a Manchester United supporters club and there was a bar that everybody congregated at, it was the most exciting thing I basically had heard of when I came to the city. So yeah, it's just lovely. It's just lovely.
And we were also joined by our new friend of the podcast, who happens to be a big-time fan of Manchester United, Nick Woody. What team are you a fan of and why?
The Manchester United.
And why are you a fan of Manchester United?
Because they're the best club in the world. But the most important thing is, for me, I grew up playing soccer. My family, I'm from Ohio. I grew up in Ohio, but I'm a dual citizen. I'm English, I'm American, and somehow I became a Manchester United fan. My dad's a Liverpool supporter, so that's pretty fucking crazy. But from there, I did youth camps for Manchester United, and so they were one of the only clubs that would come over to America, and you can meet the players, you can meet the coaches. I was brainwashed, like literally brainwashed, like indoctrinated into Manchester United, and watching Nicky Butt videos, VHS, you see the screen, and then pretty much from there it continued. It's been a hard time sometimes. Soccer is my passion. I played a lot, still play, but yeah, that's how I became a Manchester United fan.
So tell me a little bit, just very, I'm going to go the gamut here, but how did your dad handle you being a man? Was it, hey, this is fine, or was there like a little angst or a little anger that you took on a different team's colors?
It was, well, funny enough, he went to Manchester University, and so I think that's where he was like, oh, that's all right. Like, I went to university there. And I didn't really realize till probably in like my mid-20s the real rivalry between Liverpool and Manchester United, because it was always like, oh, Man City, especially when they started getting hot and they've been doing really well.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh, I hate City. But then like when I'm over with my family, they're like, why you hate City? Liverpool's the worst. And I'm like, really? I was like, I didn't know that.
Now here's a question, because you're young, and you're before the Sir Alexander Ferguson years, I'm assuming. So you're more. When did you officially go, I'm a Man City fan? How old were you when
Manchester United fan?
Manchester United, sorry.
Yeah. How dare!
When were these classes that you took? When did the training occur?
I'd probably say I was like 11.
11. Okay.
So I was young, and it was a program near where I grew up.
Yeah.
In Akron, Cleveland area, and then
LeBron James territory.
Exactly. Like, I remember being like in a book club when I was younger, and like we're going to LeBron, like seeing LeBron at St. Vincent St. Mary's.
Really?
Like, when I was that young, yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's really cool. That's really, really cool. So you're a Manchester United fan. What is that like in Ohio? Like, is soccer popular there? Is it? I'm growing up from New York, so I'm taking my experience here. So what was it like?
I've played in national leagues. Growing up, and I would say Michigan, Ohio, California are probably the best youth soccer programs that you'll find.
Okay.
They're tough teams to play against. I feel like Chicago, when you play in Chicago, there's a lot of Hispanics, and they're unbelievable at the game. And so, like, Chicago FC, like a lot of the academy teams. So I was in an international academy, Penine, CSA, and so you meet all these people from all over, but California, Michigan, and Ohio, I would say, are the best youth programs that you can be in.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'll have to dive in later, because I do want to do in another episode some of the youth episodes. But focusing back on Man United now.
Shout out Everest.
I've also got a throwback interview for listeners. You might remember we talked with Jenna Cox last August during this summer series in Manhattan. I had dropped by Smithfield to talk with West Ham fans, and sure enough, one of the first people I talked to was a big Manchester United fan who only happened to be attending the West Ham event because her husband is a big West Ham fan. Well, wild enough, Jenna is actually the president of the Austin Manchester United supporter group, so I wanted to make sure I got a piece of that interview in here.
So if you could tell me what team you're a fan of and why you're a fan.
Okay. Well, I think it's great that you asked that because although I'm here at a West Ham United function, event, if you will, I'm actually Manchester United. And we play each other tomorrow. But my husband inside, he is actually a West Ham fan. And there is where I wanted to bring up the point that the beautiful game is a community. And therefore, people like me who can come here to a West Ham pub at the moment is able to come and hang out and be welcomed, be fun, enjoy it, listen to everybody. And that's a big part of it, is listening. The reason why you want to get out there, and granted, everybody over in the UK just might hate me right now, but, I'm born and bred in the USA. We actually like other fans from other groups and clubs and supporters. I say we. There's a collective we, and there's a non-collective we. But we actually like the community that the beautiful game gets us. And I know I said that twice now, and it sounds weird. But being a Man United fan, which I love, it's great to support other clubs that support, again, the whole thing that we're doing. The community that Sean mentioned, the community, the family, and the gathering. And you can have your bantering back and forth and your chanting and singing wars. And that's what's really fun about it. And after the game, no matter the result, you just get to hug and kiss everybody and buy each other a beer.
And why Manchester United for you? Why not West Ham?
Well, because I got into it from other United fans, and I actually now run the Austin Reds in Austin, Texas. And again, my husband is West Ham. So we met watching soccer.
So you came all the way in here from Austin?
Yes, we did, because we play each other tomorrow at MetLife Stadium.
Often we hear fans do a toe dip to start with Manchester United. That's how a lot of people really first get into soccer. And I will say I'm just as guilty. I succumbed to the lure of Manchester United during one of my earlier dalliances into soccer. We're talking the mid-aughts. But it all came to a head when I watched March 2007, AC Roma's taking on Manchester United in the Champions League quarterfinal. And I actually happened to be in Rome. I was camped out at a local bar. And funny enough, the bartender was a local Long Island kid who had just moved to Rome. So, it's easy to get drinks there. And I was excited to experience my first Champions League game at a proper football bar in the heart of Rome. And it turned into a Manchester United rout with Cristiano Ronaldo and team punishing Roma 7-1. And while the game was not so fun to watch, the bar itself was littered with obnoxious British kids shouting out after each goal and talking trash to the Italians. And it was at this moment that I decided I'd pull my toe out of the water and not be a Manchester United fan at that time. I'm not saying that I'm not ever going to be a fan, and to be clear, I have not picked a team to throw my weight behind. I'm just saying I'm not going to jump back on that Man United wagon so easily. So I'm going to hesitate to don the red and white. But I'm going to talk here with the other Manchester United fans who give you the reason that they really are Man United fans.
And what would you, for those Americans who don't really know football or trying to get into it, what words would you use to describe Manchester United and their fans?
Massive, historic, and a real pantomime. Yeah.
and for those, a lot of people come in, listen, I'm a Yankees fan,
Sure.
and the first thing, as soon as I say that out loud, everyone's like, there's the winner picker. Now, I've been a Yankees fan forever, caught a ball when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
Why should people overcome or not look at the storied history? I mean, you guys are the first name that everyone comes up with. It's you and me, Real Madrid.
Yeah.
So what is it like being a fan of a thing so massive? How do you overcome some of the animosity people have for being at that upper echelons?
I actually don't even try to get over the animosity. I actually embrace it. I think it's freaking awesome. The saying goes, hated, adored, never ignored. So yeah, we embrace it. We love it. Everybody hates us because they ain't us, and you might hate me for saying this, but I'm from Boston, so so it's in my blood, Christ, being a Pats fan, I mean, tell me about it. Everybody hates us, but it's what happens when you have these moments in time where you become a bit of a dynasty, right? So we embrace it. We love it. We're definitely some arrogant pricks, but these days it's a bit hard because it's been tough going since Fergie left. But yeah, I love it. I love it.
Give me a few adjectives you would use to describe Manchester United fans.
Sadly, I think it's superficial sometimes. You'll talk to someone and they're just like, "Oh, that's the hype team," or but you haven't gone through what I went through for the last decade. Like, we've been the best, then we were horrible, and then no one wanted to be a part of it. Like, I went to London, I started just a club over there. There was none in London. And I'm the American, they're like, "Why the fuck is the American making this club?" And I'm like, "Guys, can we just," I'm in a massive WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
Of over 100 people, and I get updates, and that's where I get all my good Manchester United information. But it's just so I'd say there's superficial fans. It's kind of like a Barcelona, Real Madrid. It's a big club. Also, we're freaking massive. That's just the end of that's the story.
You guys are the Yankees.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Yankees. Even if you're not counting championships now.
Yes.
The everybody, and even if you're
Yeah.
just coming in, everyone knows who Manchester United is.
Yeah.
As famous as the Manchester United team is, their stadium, Old Trafford, is just as iconic. If you listen to our Manchester City episodes, you'll have heard some people telling the joke how only one team plays in Manchester. And that's because technically, Old Trafford is only within Greater Manchester in the city of Trafford. And that insinuation aside, Old Trafford is actually referred to very often as the Theatre of Dreams. It's the largest club team stadium in the UK, the second largest facility overall, just behind Wembley. And I got to be honest, there are not many classic old school stadiums here in America. I mean, I'm going to ring off a few. Fenway, Wrigley, maybe consider Dodger Stadium. I'm not going to count the Rose Bowl because it's not connected to a professional sports team. The Yankees bulldozered over their old stadium to build a new one. So Old Trafford is not just iconic for a team, but it's also iconic for its pitch. It also was used as a military depot during World War II. It was bombed during a German raid on March 11th, 1941, and they built it back better than ever. Following the war, it was rebuilt and reopened in August of 1949. So to touch on the stadium here, I asked Nick and Jack what it's like to experience a game in person there.
Well, next question would be Old Trafford. Tell me about the stadium. What is the experience like for people who are going to Manchester to see a game? What is it like at the stadium?
Let's get that place fixed. It's love Old Trafford, but it is
it is old.
It is old. Do you know about the fan section?
No.
If it rains, it's a waterfall. It's not fun. It's not nice. But apparently it's going to look like a circus soon. Did you see that?
No, I haven't. Please, tell me.
So we'll see what Ineos does and what they're going to be doing with Old Trafford, but it does need work. But it's a great atmosphere. I mean, I have nothing, that's the only thing bad I have to say about it.
I mean, it's an iconic stadium. Yeah. Everyone knows it, just like Anfield and everywhere else, but it's
if we want to get into real, what Old Trafford, I would also say, does anyone else understand that we own another $4 billion worth of real estate on the side? Have you seen that?
I have not.
Oh yeah, we own this whole section that no one knew about except the Glazers. Shout out Tampa Bay, apparently. But yeah, so that was never put in the evaluation. So when people were bidding and trying to before Ineos,
yeah, And
it was kind of like a secret thing, and then like I didn't realize we own like this massive section in Manchester, and I'm like, wait, that's like what is it? It was $4 billion. I think we're only worth like 6 or 8.
So
it's like
billion of it
half.
is,
And it's just real estate.
Is real
and it
estate,
was like
value real
it was
estate.
like a practice empty, like I have no clue what it actually was is, but I just know it's big real estate, and I'm just like, what the? I was like, but no one's talking about it.
I'm assuming you've been to the stadium, been to Old Trafford. What's it like going to games for people that may want to go out to Manchester?
It's a cathedral. It's, I'm not a religious man, but it's the closest thing I can imagine, like going to church. I was over there actually this season with my dad. We went in October. It was United 2, Sunderland 0. We were sat in the Stretford end. Big win. Yeah, and just the walk up to the stadium, the atmosphere, and when I remember the first time I ever went to Old Trafford. It was 2013, and I cried when I first walked in, just because it's rare you walk into a place, you walk into a stadium, a building, anywhere, and you feel that history, you feel that aura. People have died playing for this club. The Munich air disaster comes to mind, and people have bled and died for this shirt. And when you walk into Old Trafford, you feel that. You truly do. And I've been to, football games across the UK. I've been to, American sporting games. Nothing has ever come close. And this is no bias intended. Nothing has ever come close to that feeling you get when you step foot into Old Trafford, because it is just, it's a cathedral football, and it's called the Theater of Dreams for a reason. It really is.
Speaking of that joy and that feeling, because I that's why I got into the soccer podcast.
Absolutely,
I have not done years of you, and I don't have a team. That's the whole thing.
Hey, never too late to become a United fan, man. Yeah,
exactly. You can bring me on board there. It's a good team there.
Yeah.
If you were to convince me or my co-host, what would you say to convince fans out there, Americans who are like, World Cup's done, I really want to get into soccer now, I love that World Cup experience.
Yeah.
Why should they be Manchester United fans?
Well, I think besides the history, growing up, I was always called the Glory Hunter, because United was, the top team. But again, I have that, that history with my family, my dad and my grandfather. But I would say it's a great time because we're a bit of an underdog still, so you're not
surprisingly, yes.
Yeah,
this year.
so it's not like you're going into a City or a Arsenal or a Liverpool that have been, kind of killing it, if you will, the last couple seasons. You're going into a club that has a lot to prove still, but also has a massive fan base and has real history to it. And I think that all culminates into a very unique experience. And there's nothing on earth like being a Red, as the saying goes. So that's the biggest reason I would give, is that not only is it historic and we're a successful club, but we haven't really been that successful the last 10, 12 years. So
since the Rooney era.
Yeah, and since Ferguson left. So I think if there's any time...
I'm sorry. Do you guys know what's happening in this building here?
We're watching the greatest soccer team on planet Earth, Manchester United.
You're in the bar.
Yeah, we're in the bar. Yeah, this is an
no idea in that
this is an apartment building, brother.
While Mark and I are taking in the atmosphere at Smithfield Hall, I want to remind listeners that we want to hear from you. We would love to visit your local soccer bar and talk to you. We'd love to receive emails or sound bites from you on why you love your team and why we should be fans of them. And if you got a really wild story that's worth sharing, we're here for it. We'll put it on air. We want to share good stories. So this podcast is about the fans, and we want to share your stories. This podcast is nothing without your stories. So while you're giving us a listen, feel free to give us an email at ultraworldpod@gmail.com, or you can go to @ultraworldpod on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook group, or X, Twitter, whatever it's called. While all of these interviews are at Smithfield Hall, I asked Jenna Cox about the Austin football supporter scene, and on top of that, I followed up with Nick and asked for names of the top Man United bars across the country, because we don't want to just be about New York. We want to share the sport of the world.
Tell me about, because I'm here in New York, so I'm not going out there. Tell me about the Austin soccer football scene.
So in Austin, Texas, it is a huge Premier League fan base. I would hate to say it, but I would say the Austin Gooners is probably the largest. They go to the tavern, and they can get 150 there easily. Now, I will say that the Austin Reds, which is Manchester United, we go to Kelly's Irish Pub, and certainly during those big matches, we can also get 150 people there. There's also Liverpool, but I don't really want to talk about Liverpool on this. West Ham, they go to Crown and Anchor Pub, which is the koozie that I have right here, which is at North Campus at UT. But there's also City fans, there's Chelsea fans, there's Leicester fans, there's Southampton, there's Crystal Palace, there's even Sunderland. I mean, we have a lot of fan bases there, and that's what's really great and diverse about, especially a place like Austin, Texas, where you have a whole lot of supporters groups that have their own places, but they can get together on their away day to visit the other pub, and usually it's a good time.
And how does that compete with Texas football when the games are on the same day? Does it become a long day? You're just like,
well,
I'm not watching Texas.
The great thing about it all being in the UK is it's earlier in the day. So sometimes we run into some UT crowds, which we always love the Longhorns. So we're going to respect their space as well. And that's a great thing about it. And NFL doesn't start till noon usually. So there you go. We go before them and we show up drunk.
Here's a question for you in terms of, because you travel around the country, it sounds like.
Yes.
What are some of the shout-outs to across the country? What are some of the best Manchester United bars you've been to?
Best Manchester United bar, Old Angle, Cleveland, Ohio. Unbelievable. Like, unbelievable. If you want, it's Irish pub. I'm British over here, but I'm saying go to the Irish pubs. But I will, there was one in Portugal, too, in Lisbon. If you look it up, it's going to be like the biggest soccer bar there, but that was unbelievable. I went to the USA England. I was watching USA England in the World Cup 4 years ago, and I'm over here like half British, half American. But shout out to
Porn.
shout out to my Irish friends that protected me from all my British folks.
That's what I was going to say, because the Americans
I wore my USA jersey, and they're just ready to flail on me, and I was just like, Jesus Christ.
When you're an institution like Manchester United, you get the top-tier players. And Manchester United's history is just dripping with talent. Many of the best names ever to play the game have donned the red and white for Man U. Just listing off a few of all the amazing players includes the like of Bobby Charlton, Ryan Giggs, George Best, Roy Keane, their current coach Michael Carrick, Wayne Rooney, Ruud van Nistelrooy, and Rio Ferdinand. And that's just the surface of the team's incredible all-timer roster. That's not the big names that in Man United lore that have graced the red and white. I'm talking casual fans who know David Beckham, Cristiano Ronaldo, and my favorite player of all time, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Swede. So I'm actually wearing his shirt during this recording. But before I go too far down a rabbit hole, let's hear from true supporter Jack on some of the brilliant players to wear red and white.
Favorite all-time player and favorite last 5-year player, because there's a big difference.
Favorite all-time player, Wayne Rooney, hands down. I became a striker when I played soccer because I just wanted to emulate him. I think also, from a rough estate in Liverpool, one of the last few proper street footballers you saw. But the last 5 years, it's got to be Bruno Fernandes. I mean, that guy's clawed us out time after time after time.
He cares.
Yeah. Second shout, Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
That's my favorite player.
Yeah,
He's Swedish. I'm Swede.
The only time I've been to Wembley was the League Cup final in 2017 where we beat Southampton 3-2. And we go 1-0 up. It's a Zlatan free kick. And then Lingard scores. Southampton equalizes to make it 2-2. And then I think it was an 88th or 89th minute winner from Zlatan, the header, and I've never experienced anything like that in sports before. And I get it's a Mickey Mouse Cup according to a lot of fans, but once you win it, a trophy's a trophy.
A trophy's a trophy.
But to be able to experience that, I won't lie, me and my dad were in tears.
I love Zlatan. Zlatan's my favorite player.
Yeah.
I almost wore the jersey today.
6'5", hard as fuck.
Yes, I'm wearing Swedish citizen Zlatan Ibrahimovic's special jersey as we're recording this. And for anybody that wants to dive down a really fun YouTube rabbit hole, just look up Zlatan with a Z. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, truly brilliant stuff. An amazing 6'10" guy touring around. He can kick the ball from midfield into the goal. There's some really amazing stuff he's done on the pitch. It's not hard to follow a team like Manchester United that has so many amazing players. This year, Bruno Fernandes is about to break the all-time assist record. That's incredible, and that's the kind of stuff you get to witness when you pick a Big Six team like Man United and Man City and Chelsea and Arsenal and Liverpool. So those are the brilliant part of watching those great teams. But again, you can be called a winner picker. So, you got to weigh it out. With that, I'm going to switch over to our resident astrologist, the inimitable Scott Tejerian, who recorded his zodiac thoughts on Manchester United. Please note that this session was recorded back in September, so anything pertaining to the 2025-2026 season might be a little dated.
I'm going to bring us, this name usually is not towards the bottom here, and they are an international powerhouse, Manchester United. I have a feeling most Americans have at one point kind of toe-dipped into Manchester United fandom because they are the Yankees, the Red Sox of the Premier League, alongside Manchester City. They are, everybody knows who Manchester United is.
Oh, yeah. I think this was the first soccer team I ever heard of, like 20 years ago when I even knew there was soccer. It was Man U. It seemed like they were winning all the titles.
Yes.
And they were, Man U is April 24th, 1902. They're the first team that we're looking at that has the sun in Taurus. So there's a real loyalty to this fan base. But the loyalty is based on self-worth, values. It's the money. The moon is in Scorpio. I think this is the first time we've talked about the moon being in Scorpio. There's a secret or reserved nature to their emotional expression. They may not get too big emotionally. They're quite reserved. But Mercury is in Aries. So when they're communicating, they do so very confidently, very courageously. They're very clear about who they are, and they're very direct. Now, Venus is in Pisces, which is interesting because Man City, Venus is also in Pisces. So there's this intuitive, nebulous, deceptive, or confusing nature to their senses, their likes and dislikes. And Mars is in Aries. I think this is the first team we've talked about with Mars in the sign that it rules, Aries. So they're motivated by courage, authenticity, and conflict.
Interesting. They are one of the teams that really spend. They are the team of Ronaldo, of Griggs, Bobby Charlton, Wayne Rooney. They are the star team.
They're also coming off their worst year in over half a century.
Yeah.
And so they will be out for blood trying to get back at least into the top half after they finished
an embarrassing
15th.
year.
Now, granted, they were well outside the relegation zone point-wise.
Yeah.
But the Yankees finishing fourth in the American League East, not acceptable. Any more than Man U finishing where they did in the EPL.
They got lucky that so Scott, just this past year, they got really, really lucky that the three teams that were relegated were some of the all-time worst showings in Premier League. Like they were borderline having to worry about for the first time in decades, ever maybe, of being relegated. Again, these players are the players that casual fans know. Cristiano Ronaldo, George Best, Wayne Rooney, Sir Bobby Charlton. These are the top echelons of players.
And they finished with a tie for the fourth fewest wins last season. Now, the teams that did get relegated, Southampton, 2 wins in 38. Ipswich, 4 wins. And Leicester City, which, of course, wrote the Cinderella story a few years ago, they only won 6 times.
Oof.
So if you get relegated behind them, I think you have to, metaphorically blow the whole thing up and start from scratch.
And they're kind of
not what Man U would do.
Yeah, they spend. They're like the Yankees and the Dodgers. They spend and spend. If there's a player on the market, they are playing footsie with Manchester United. And I'm not even that knowledgeable, and I know that if someone is a main player, they're talking to them. Very interesting.
So this is all really, really fascinating, and I hope I'm not talking over anyone's head here. But, first of all, the fact that they spend, the sun is in Taurus. I mean, that's the money sign. So there's somebody who identifies with their riches, their wealth, and being willing to spend. But the thing that really, kind of like piques my interest here is just thinking about how the team is not doing well. And what jumps out to me is Man U has 3 planets at 27 degrees. They have Mercury at 27 degrees in Aries. They have Mars at 27 degrees in Aries. So this is the planet of action, Mars, and the planet of communication, Mercury. So they are able to put their words into action and go after what they want. But they also have Saturn, the planet of restriction and responsibility, at 27 degrees in Capricorn, which squares, which is a hard aspect, their Mars and Mercury, which means that, in order for them to go after what they want, they need to be authentic, but they need to be willing to do the work required in order to get what they want so they can be who they want. But what's challenging for them right now is this last year, Chiron, the wound and the ancient wisdom which is unlocked through healing that wound, has been hovering around 27 degrees in Aries. So the Man U fan base has had to face their fears and insecurities about being regulated, about not being at the top of the mountain, but rather being at the bottom of the mountain, really feeling what that's like. And then there is also Pluto, the god of death. This year, last year, and even part of next year is going to be transiting around 2 degrees in Aquarius, which squares makes a hard aspect to Man U's sun at 2 degrees in Taurus, which means that this fan base is going through a very difficult transformative period. And they need to learn how to be vulnerable, how to be intimate, how to really just go out there and say, you know what? Yeah, we are not a good team, and we're scared, and it doesn't feel good, and really kind of take it from all the other fan bases that maybe feel slighted by Man U and all of their winning in the previous years.
Yeah, and I think compared to their, legion of names that you recognize, really the only one still there who transcends is Bruno Fernandes. Marcus Rashford certainly was on the list, but he's been loaned out. And so, it's Bruno and
squad.
Everybody, you know.
I mean, they're all really good, but
right.
he's
but
the name
they are
keeping them
right.
up.
And when you think of, the collection of superstars, Manchester United, very much comparable to the Cosmos of yesteryear.
Yes.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. And just so you know, for non-astrology people there, Chiron is the bane of my existence. I have a lot of Chiron is very prominent in my chart, and Chiron is, for all intents, is pain, teaching pain. Thank you, Scott, for bringing that up on there and for to teach a little bit of astrology here.
It also builds character.
It does. The Chiron.
Exactly. Chiron, yes, it is the bane of everyone's existence, just like Saturn is the bane of everyone's existence. And Man U is getting hit. Their Saturn is getting hit by that Chiron. But like you said, Mark, it's also, there's rewards in learning the lessons that have to do with this wounding. And so what are the lessons that Man U is learning from this experience, from being humbled or even humiliated? There's lessons to be learned here, and hopefully they grow from it and evolve and come back stronger than ever. But, they also have to be willing to be vulnerable and respectful of others. Not saying that they haven't been in the past, but that's just astrologically speaking what's going on with their North Node, which is their soul's purpose.
Thanks to everybody for joining. Mark, I'm kind of hoping I held up my end on this episode. If we find that the doors are locked when we come back for our next record session, you can blame me. Another show in the books. I'm Sean Castles, and I'm urging you to get out there, be social, and find your football family.
This has been the Ultra World Podcast, the soccer fan's voice from the stands. with your hosts, Marc and Sean Castles. Our executive producer is Sue Zizza. Marc and Sean Castles are co-producers. David Shin is our master engineer. Assistant producer Avery Gehrig, and I'm Alicia Antwine. To be a guest on the Ultra World podcast or learn all about sponsorship opportunities, send an email to ultraworldpod@gmail.com. Be sure to follow the show on all the social media platforms at Ultra World Pod. Copyright 2026. All rights reserved, Ultra World Podcast, LLC.